Have you ever heard of the Black Pharaohs? What if I told you that for a time, a powerful African kingdom from the south conquered and ruled all of Egypt, establishing its own dynasty of pharaohs? This isn't some fantasy tale. It's the incredible and often overlooked history of the kingdom of Kush, also known as Nubia. For thousands of years, this mighty civilization thrived along the Nile River in what is now modern-day Sudan, developing a rich and unique culture that was both a rival and a partner to its famous northern neighbor, Egypt. Today, we're journeying south, past the familiar pyramids of Giza, to uncover the story of Africa's forgotten pharaohs and the lost kingdom they built. Our story begins deep in antiquity, around 2500 BCE, with the rise of the kingdom of Kerma. This was the first major Nubian state, and it was a force to be reckoned with. Located south of Egypt, Kerma became a bustling trade hub. Its cities were filled with skilled artisans who created some of the most beautiful and sophisticated pottery of the ancient world. They weren't just potters. They were master builders. The heart of their capital city was a massive mud brick temple called the Western Defufa. It stands today as one of the oldest and largest ancient structures in all of sub-Saharan Africa. The people of Kerma controlled trade routes that brought ivory, gold, ebony, and exotic animals from the heart of Africa to Egypt and beyond. This wealth made them powerful, so powerful that they became a direct threat to the Egyptian pharaohs of the Middle Kingdom, who built a series of massive forts along their southern border just to keep the Nubians at bay. For centuries, Egypt and Nubia existed in a delicate balance of trade, cultural exchange, and conflict. The Egyptians were fascinated by Nubian culture, particularly their legendary archers, who were so skilled they were recruited as mercenaries in the pharaoh's army. In fact, an ancient name for Nubia was Tasseti, which means the land of the bow. But this balance wouldn't last forever. Around 1550 BCE, a newly powerful and expansionist Egypt, known as the New Kingdom, launched a full-scale invasion. Led by pharaohs like Thutmose I, the Egyptian armies marched south, conquering Nubia and incorporating it into their vast empire. For the next 500 years, Nubia was under Egyptian rule. Temples to Egyptian gods were built across the land, and Nubian elites were taken to the Egyptian court to be educated in their ways. This period of colonization had a profound impact. The Nubians adopted many aspects of Egyptian culture, from their writing and religion to their royal traditions. But they didn't just copy them. They adapted them, blended them with their own customs, creating a unique hybrid culture that would soon change the course of history. As the new kingdom of Egypt began to weaken and collapse around 1070 BCE, a power vacuum emerged. It was the Nubians' moment. Seizing the opportunity, a new, independent Nubian kingdom arose from the ashes. This was the kingdom of Kush, with its capital first at Napata and later at Meroë. The Kushite kings saw themselves not as conquerors, but as the true heirs to the pharaonic tradition. They believed the Egyptian gods had abandoned the chaotic, politically fragmented north and now favored them, the devout rulers of the south, to restore order and piety to the Nile Valley. And so, around 747 BCE, a Kushite king named Pi did the unthinkable. He launched a brilliant military campaign, sailing north with his army. He wasn't just raiding. He was on a holy mission to reunite Egypt under his rule. In a series of decisive victories, Pi conquered city after city, from Thebes to Memphis, until he was crowned the true pharaoh of Upper and Lower Egypt, founding Egypt's 25th dynasty. For nearly a century, the Black Pharaohs ruled a vast empire stretching from the heart of modern Sudan all the way to the Mediterranean Sea. Kings like Pi, Shabaka, and Taharka presided over a golden age. They were prolific builders, embarking on a massive program of restoration and construction. They repaired old temples, built new ones, and erected pyramids in their homeland of Nubia in the classic Egyptian style. In fact, there are more pyramids in Sudan today than there are in all of Egypt, a testament to the Kushan pharaohs' devotion to this ancient tradition. One of the most powerful of these rulers was Taharka, whose reign is even mentioned in the Bible. He was a formidable leader who fought off Assyrian invasions and maintained the stability of his dual kingdom. The 25th dynasty represented a renaissance, a time when ancient traditions were revived with a new, vibrant energy from the south. They weren't just imitating Egypt, they were revitalizing it, believing they were restoring its former glory. But the mighty Assyrian Empire to the east was relentless. With their superior iron weapons, they eventually pushed the Kushite pharaohs out of Egypt, forcing them to retreat south back to their Nubian heartland. This wasn't the end of Kush, however. It was a new beginning. They moved their capital further south to the city of Meroë. Shielded by distance and geography, Meroë flourished for another 1,000 years. It became a powerhouse of industry, particularly iron production. Huge mounds of iron slag, the waste product of smelting, still surround the ancient city, earning it the nickname, the Birmingham of Africa. Meroë was a bustling metropolis. It lay at the crossroads of trade routes connecting Africa, the Mediterranean, and even the Far East via the Red Sea. The art and architecture of this Meroitic period became even more distinct. While they still built pyramids for their rulers, they were steeper and smaller than the Egyptian style. Most fascinating of all, they developed their own unique written language, Meroitic, which appears in inscriptions all over their monuments. To this day, scholars have not been able to fully decipher this mysterious script, leaving many secrets of the Kushite kingdom locked away. The queens of Kush, known as the Kandakes or Candaces, held immense power during the Meroitic period. These were not just queen consorts. They were powerful ruling monarchs in their own right, often leading armies into battle. One of the most famous was Kandak Amanarines, who, in 24 BCE, led her army against the invading Romans. She successfully raided Roman-held territory in southern Egypt, and according to legend, even brought back a bronze head of the Emperor Augustus as a trophy, which she buried under the steps of a temple, so her people could forever walk over the head of their enemy. This act of defiance showed the world the strength and spirit of the Kushite rulers. The Kandakes governed a prosperous kingdom for centuries. Their authority and influence a remarkable feature of the ancient world. So what happened to this great civilization? Like all empires, the kingdom of Kush eventually declined. A combination of factors likely led to its fall around the 4th century CE. The rise of the rival kingdom of Aksum in modern-day Ethiopia shifted trade routes away from Meroë, crippling its economy. Environmental changes, like deforestation from centuries of iron smelting, may have also played a role, turning fertile lands into desert. Finally, a military invasion by the Aksumite king Ezana delivered the final blow, sacking Meroë and scattering its people. Over time, the grand cities were abandoned, and the sands of the desert slowly reclaimed the temples and pyramids. The story of the Black Pharaohs and the mighty kingdom of Kush faded from memory, becoming little more than a footnote in the history of ancient Egypt. For centuries, the story of Nubia was buried, both literally and figuratively. It was European archaeologists in the 19th and 20th centuries who began to rediscover the ruins of Kerma, Napata, and Meroë. But even then, many early scholars, blinded by colonial biases, refused to believe that a powerful indigenous African civilization could have achieved such greatness. They wrongly assumed that Kush was merely a crude imitation of Egypt, a passive recipient of culture from the north. Today, we know better. Thanks to decades of modern archaeology and a re-evaluation of the evidence, the kingdom of Kush is finally being recognized for what it was: a sophisticated, powerful, and uniquely African civilization that shaped the ancient world in profound ways. It was a kingdom of master architects, powerful queens, industrial innovators, and pharaohs who ruled one of the greatest empires of their time. The story of the lost kingdom of Nubia is a powerful reminder that history is often written by the victors, and that there are so many incredible stories that have been left out of our textbooks. The Black Pharaohs of Kush were not a footnote. They were a headline. Their legacy lives on in the hundreds of pyramids that dot the Sudanese landscape and in the ongoing efforts to decipher their mysterious language. Their history challenges our perceptions of the ancient world and highlights the rich and complex tapestry of African civilizations. It's a story of power, resilience, and cultural brilliance that deserves to be told and remembered. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey to ancient Nubia. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into forgotten history. Let us know in the comments which lost civilization you'd like us to explore next. Until then, keep exploring.